The Orioles in Birdland got to share and hear memories about the late, great Hall of Famer Brooks Robinson, and also say goodbye to Mr. Oriole today at Camden Yards for a public memorial. Robinson died last Tuesday at the age of 86. There was none like him and probably won't ever be again in this town as far as sports legends on and off the field. A fan favorite for the man he was and fan of his work for 23 years with the Orioles. The best third baseman of all time, number 5, will be missed, but continued to be celebrated for all that he was. 24 hours after the announcement of his death, all-star and current O's outfielder Austin Hayes said this postseason run is for Brooksy. The top seed in the American League, the Orioles, are off until the weekend when the Orioles open up ALDS hosting duties with Game 1 at Camden Yards Saturday. Who they will face, that's still a waiting game. The Rays-Rangers wildcard series starts tomorrow, and the winner heads to Baltimore. This is the first time the O's are AL East champs since 2014. A thrilling ALDS then when the Birds swept the Tigers and Camden Yards was at its best. It's been in Game 2 with Delman Young's bases clearing double for the go-ahead in the 8th. A play and environment being shown to these 2023 Birds, so they'll be ready.
Delman Young hitting that and then hitting the double and then seeing them with the orange towels, that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, that and looking forward to hearing the O chant and with the stadium packed out, so that'd be pretty cool.
It was electric to see, so you just kind of like hoping for that, and you know, kind of gives you the chills every time you watch that video, thinking that's what we could be playing in front of.
The Rays and Rangers wildcard series gets underway tomorrow. That's a best-of-3 series. The O's went 8-5 against Tampa Bay this season, 3-3 against the Rangers.
Coming up on Fox 45 News at 6, the man charged with killing a Howard County Sheriff's deputy in a Baltimore court this morning. The latest on what we're learning about the case. Plus, pressing Mayor Brandon Scott on the surging crime crisis, we question why city residents should trust him to curb the levels.
Key confirmations at City Hall tonight, the latest on major changes to public safety leadership in Baltimore. A Howard County Sheriff's deputy was murdered in Baltimore today. The accused killer in court. What we're learning about the case tonight. And victims are launching lawsuits. The major change to Maryland's statute of limitations and what it means for the Archdiocese's sex abuse scandal.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
A live look at City Hall right now. The Baltimore City Council still considering the acting police commissioner's nomination. This is some live pictures from inside. So far, one council member voted no. Councilwoman Felicia Porter, who represents the district where the Brooklyn Homes mass shooting took place, voted no. Tonight's vote comes nearly 4 months after Mayor Scott named him the successor to former police commissioner Michael Harrison. Today's hearing started off with a disruption from the crowd, someone speaking out against Worley's nomination and the process to confirm him. We continue to see some disruption to this vote taking place. Protests inside the council chambers happening right now. We'll continue to follow this and have more. Now, the council is not just considering Richard Worley's nomination tonight. It will also vote on if James Wallace will become the chief of the Baltimore City Fire Department. Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala. The council just voted to confirm Worley, followed by an outbreak from the crowd, which we saw. Worley's confirmation vote comes after a number of controversies in his first few months temporarily on the job. Just weeks after taking over, the Brooklyn Day shooting happened on his watch. 2 people were killed, 28 others injured in one of the worst mass shootings in the city's history. City police did not know about the block party before it happened. Worley says his department was dismissive of the danger, ignored warning signs, and could have done more to stop the tragedy. Despite admitting to those failures, a council committee still unanimously approved his nomination last month. Worley's also facing criticism for how BPD handled the manhunt for Jason Billingsley. Just last week, local tech CEO Pavel Lepere was murdered in her apartment complex. Police say Jason Billingsley allegedly killed her 2 days after he forced a Baltimore couple into their apartment, raped and attempted to kill a woman and set their home on fire, and also the people on fire. The department did not make an announcement that a violent repeat offender was at large. However, the commissioner says he does not believe the department made a mistake in its response in this case. Well, tonight on Fox 45 News at 10, Keith Daniels will have a full report on Richard Worley's confirmation and the controversy surrounding his appointment. Another person was killed in Baltimore last night. Police say a 29-year-old man was shot and killed along Patapsco Avenue in South Baltimore. It happened just before 9. The victim was pronounced dead shortly after officers arrived. If anybody has information on the shooting, contact Baltimore police. Police say 212 people have been killed in Baltimore this year. Another 502 have survived being shot. And while those numbers are down from last year, the city is dealing with a massive spike in car thefts and youth crime. Mayor Scott says it will take everyone in the city working together to stop the violence.
There are people who know. We need people to step up and tell who is actually pulling the trigger so that we can help those families gain closure. Well, tonight, new developments in the murder of a Howard County Sheriff's deputy killed in Baltimore. The man accused of shooting and killing 23-year-old Ryan Demby appeared in court. Fox 45's Alexa Ashwell has the latest.
The suspect accused of killing this deputy, Joe Crowder, was denied bond in court today. Tonight, we're learning more about that suspect as well as the deputy as police piece together this investigation.
No bond for Joel Crowder, the Baltimore man accused of shooting and killing off-duty Howard County Sheriff's Deputy Ryan Demby outside of a bar in Federal Hill, appeared by video here inside Baltimore City District Court.
This is tough. Ryan was like a son to me.
Over the weekend, Howard County Sheriff Marcus Harris emotional as Baltimore police announced the department had made an arrest.
Officers arrested 40-year-old Joel Crowder of Baltimore.
Walk over here, go this way.
Fox 45 News was there as SWAT tracked down Crowder, taking him into custody from a home in Northeast Baltimore's Idlewood community Friday evening, less than 24 hours after Deputy Demby's murder.
You heard the first pop, immediately followed by pop, 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 and it just kept going, 7 or 8 shots.
Deputy Demby was shot during what was supposed to be a night of celebration in Federal Hill. The Orioles had just clinched the division title hours beforehand. Baltimore police say the shooting stemmed from a dispute that began inside one of the bars on Charles Street. But investigators haven't said what that dispute was over or exactly how the off-duty deputy became involved. Acting Baltimore Police Commissioner Rich Worley says the entire incident was caught on video.
We have the information from looking at cameras, but we can't release that now. I can tell you that the original altercation occurred inside. The business did what they were supposed to do. They moved the individuals outside, and then it continued outside. And then someone senselessly pulled a weapon and shot the deputy.
Newly obtained court documents detail Deputy Demby suffered multiple gunshot wounds to his upper body. And at the scene, investigators recovered 7 9mm shell casings and CCTV footage, and multiple witnesses were located and interviewed. Inside Baltimore City District Court, Crowder quiet during the hearing. Court officials revealing he served in the Army for about 8 years, suffers from PTSD, is on disability, and has 2 prior assault charges. The state requesting no bail, calling Crowder a danger to the community. The judge agreeing and ordering Crowder stay in jail. Meanwhile, the community mourning the loss of Deputy Demby, who had just joined the Howard County Sheriff's Office in March of this year. Here, pictures of when he was sworn in, officially badged by his father, Howard County Sheriff Sergeant Sam Demby.
He simply wanted to follow in his father's footsteps.
His cruiser, the centerpiece of a growing memorial, now outside of the Howard County Courthouse.
Such a good young man. So, not a troublemaker, just a good person. So, if he was out, he probably was being a peacemaker. I don't know. I left the city, did the investigation. Just heartbroken.
I'm asking the Baltimore City State's Attorney about some other serious charges I found on Crowder's record from about 10 years ago. As for the fallen deputy, we're told he was going to turn 24 this month. We'll keep an eye on funeral arrangements. Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
Breaking tonight, the first lawsuits against the Archdiocese of Maryland and its sex abuse scandal are being filed. Those lawsuits now possible because of the state of Maryland just lifted the statute of limitations for sexual abuse changes. Now, the lawsuits come after a series of reports from the Attorney General revealed decades of abuse, accusing more than 100 members of the clergy, church employees, and teachers of sexually abusing children. Among the first filings that claim that Anthony Joseph Maskell, an ordained priest that also served as a psychological counselor in Catholic schools, abused at least 39 children. The filing also focuses in detail on his abuse of one victim and claims the church knew about the crimes but did nothing. Last week, the Baltimore Archdiocese announced it was filing for bankruptcy due to the lawsuits. It's expecting with the statute of limitations removal. For our full coverage on the sex abuse scandal, head to foxbaltimore.com.
A Harford County woman is charged with arson and attempted murder after setting her own home on fire. Police say around 3 Sunday morning, fire crews responded to a house fire on Shady Drive in Edgewood. Investigators believe the homeowner, Christina Beatty, set her porch on fire after getting into an argument with a man staying at her house. She's facing multiple charges and is being held without bond. Parasite found in the Druid Lake Reservoir. Mayor Brandon Scott and DPW leaders say the last sample was taken last Wednesday, and they expect the results before this Wednesday.
We're going to continue to push that information out, but I think it's also critically important for everyone to know that this is a new thing, right? That even the EPA didn't have guidelines for this one because this is something that they just recently started to require us and some other places to test for. But we're going to continue to push the information out. I know that Director Luna, we've already asked for a follow-up test, and we'll continue to push that information out as we had from the beginning.
We are continuously working with MDE, MDH, and our city health department as far as next wave of information to be coming out. Over the weekend, we did reissue the public announcement, and we did include additional FAQs that we worked with those agencies to put together.
Well, last week, Baltimore City DPW announced the parasite Cryptosporidium in low levels in Druid Lake, sharing a warning for the elderly, those with young children, and those with compromised immune systems. The contamination impacts the water supply for portions of Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and Howard County. According to officials, a water sample was taken from Druid Lake on September 19th. The city learned of the contamination last Tuesday, the 26th, but the public was not notified until the 28th, 9 days after the original water sample was collected. It was last September when Baltimore City faced blowback for its response and slow public notification of an E. coli contamination in West Baltimore. Some are questioning the city's response and timing of alerting the public to this current contamination. In the meantime, for anyone curious to see if their address falls within the impact zone, there is an interactive map online. You can find a link to it on foxbaltimore.com. Honoring an Orioles legend, hearing from some of the greatest O's of all time as they remember Brooks Robinson.
And looking good for heading out and about this evening. Temperatures going to be dropping from the 70s back into the 60s after highs in the mid-80s this afternoon. More warmth to come for now. But we got some big-time cooler temperatures on the way. I'll let you know when highs may not make it out of the 60s. So my Weather Authority forecast.
The first Monday in October means a new term at the Supreme Court. I'm Atrell Nashar to break down two cases that could set new rules for social media companies.
Fox 45 News, winner of 16 2022 Regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore news stations combined.
Monday marks the start of a new term at the U.S. Supreme Court. Two of the cases that justices are taking up are expected to set new rules for how social media platforms can moderate content. National correspondent Atra El-Nashar joins us from Capitol Hill with what this could mean for all the millions of users out there. Atra, good evening.
Hey, good evening, Mary. The justices have some complicated questions they'll have to answer in these two cases out of Texas and Florida. And the answers to them could either open up the floodgates for more laws to crack down on content moderation or pave the way for social media companies to operate as they choose. Years-long tension between conservatives and social media companies coming to a head at the Supreme Court. The 9 justices will consider 2 cases questioning the constitutional standing of a Florida law and Texas law, each designed to limit how a platform moderates content or bans users.
The tension is sort of, are these corporations exercising their own editorial judgment, which is protected by the First Amendment, or are these kind of quasi-public facilities or public entities that states have a right to regulate?
Attorneys General of Florida and Texas claim social media companies censor and suppress conservative figures and views, while NetChoice, a group representing the interests of companies like Meta and Twitter, now known as X, argues the Florida and Texas laws violate the First Amendment rights of the companies to control what appears on their platforms. If justices side with the Republican attorneys general, 16 other states have signaled they'll move to pass similar laws.
And obviously the converse, if they're told that they can't, then it will dissuade states from trying to weigh in on regulating what social media can and can't do.
Separately, the Supreme Court is also considering a request from the Biden administration to temporarily block an order from a federal judge in Louisiana limiting government agencies' communication with social media platforms about content moderation. This stems from a case brought by Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey, who spoke about this to Full Measure's Cheryl Atkinson.
We began to realize very quickly that there was a coercive and collusive relationship.
We are going to continue to promote responsible actions to protect public health, safety, and security when confronted by challenges like a deadly pandemic and foreign attacks on our elections.
As for the Texas and Florida cases, arguments might not start until early next year, with decisions expected to come down closer to the end of the Supreme Court's term in late June, early July. Mary.
We will be watching. Atra El-Nashar live for us from Capitol Hill. Thank you. This morning, Baltimore came together to remember baseball legend Brooks Robinson. His public memorial was held at Camden Yards, and his family, friends, former teammates gathered to share memories and honor him.
He embodied what it meant to be a human, an Oriole, and a baseball player all in one.
Thank you for being here to remember a truly great man and one of my best friends, Brooks Robinson.
This was really one of my best friends, and I'm going to miss him.
Robinson passed away last week. He was 86 years old. To see more from the memorial, head to foxbaltimore.com.
All right, on the Fox Triple Cast this evening, looking good as you take a look at both the Towson Cam, the Mile 1 Towson Cam, and also the Inner Harbor on our Toyota Edgewood Harbor Sky Cam as we take a beautiful look at Camden Yards, and the HG radar showing acres of clear skies till we really arrive at the next weather maker. That's over the Intermountain West, which is going to get here, but it's going to take several days to do so. Toyota Edgewood Harbor Sky Cam right now. Still, until then, it's the warm temperature, 78 after a high of 85. Clear skies right now, winds out of the east at 5 to 10. Humidity at 58%. It's still pretty dry outside, but it feels 1 degree warmer with the heat index outside than it actually is. 78 right now here in Baltimore. Now it's 78 at Cockeysville, 76 nice at Bel Air, 77 at Westminster, 80 at Columbia, 81 at Laurel, and 81 down Easton Way on the lower eastern shore. And look at this warmth all the way across most of the country. Memphis at 91. We're at 89 at Minneapolis, 89 at Omaha. You hop over the mountains. There we go. 82 at Denver, drops to 49 at Salt Lake City. And that, again, is compliments of the next weather maker. And you can see here right around Billings, Montana, there are, yes, winter weather advisories that are in effect. There's rain, there's snow there. That's going to move in with that next system that is going to bring us to cooler weather. For now, fair weather high pressure is our fair weather friend, and it's warm too. It's going to stay that way again through about Wednesday, Thursday before the rain moves in and then the cooler temperatures to follow. Now out in the tropics, Philippe providing plenty of heavy rain towards Windward Islands, but outside of that, looks like, yes, it may strengthen to a Category 1 hurricane, but it's going to do so over the open waters of the Atlantic, affecting nobody. So future scan overnight tonight into early tomorrow morning. Temperature is going to be settling through the 70s into the 60s, 50s to near 60 by early tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. at 64 Baltimore. Open the windows, enjoy. Outdoor lunch weather tomorrow, and great for after-school activities as well, as highs get to the low to mid-80s once again. 60, comfortable for tonight. Mostly clear skies tomorrow, 85, mostly sunny skies. Feeling like summer once again. I'm going to let you know how long the summer feel is going to be sticking around. That's in my exclusive 10-day forecast in a couple of minutes.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
It may look like fall in Wisconsin, but it sure doesn't feel like it. Record highs are in many cities today. If you hike too far up the Utah mountains looking for fall colors, you could end up finding the white of an early winter. Up to a foot could fall at some higher elevations. And in Arkansas, a perfectly still lake serves as a mirror to the beautiful sky.
Want to see your weather photos and videos on TV? Click Chime In on this station's website to share.
Millions of Americans will have to stretch their budget just a bit farther than they have been. The impact you could feel with the return of student loan payments. Both federal and private student loan payments are back, and many say they will need to adjust their budgets to stay afloat. Andrew McBeath from our Sinclair sister station in Rochester, New York, has the details.
The grace period that started in March 2020 is coming to a close, with monthly payments for student loans resuming on October 1st.
I think I owe like about $17,000 right now, so it's not like a ton of money, but it's definitely not something I was looking forward to paying back.
Adam Smith is one of more than 43 million Americans with student loan debt. His monthly payments are about $70, less than the average of nearly $400. Financial advisor Ethan Wade says the return of loan payments, combined with inflation, will make it difficult for some.
Our expenses and our bills are higher today than they were 3 years ago, which means adding that expense back in will still be a struggle, likely could be even more of a struggle today than it was 3 years ago.
Wade says non-essential purchases and expenses may see a drop as budgets tighten, and loan companies could see an increase in defaults. For those with loans, it's all about balancing their budgets.
So it's really goes down to budgeting and just really knowing also